Now, get ready to talk hockey. Streaming from the Oilers Live Studio. Subscribe or follow today.
Hey, it's Michael here from Oilers Live, bringing you another Mega Thread Monday with Mr. Mike Dursa. And tonight we've got special guest, Mr. Chris Dingman, the Dish, I think they call you. Or is it just Dish? Is there a "the" in there, or does it really matter?
Guess it depends on the day.
It depends on the day. Thanks for joining us. And I know Mike reached out to you, and you know, it's good to have Edmonton guy and two-time Stanley Cup champion on the show. I think we've had over the few years that I've been doing this a couple of one-timers, but never a two-time Stanley Cup champion. So that's a pretty big deal.
No, thanks. Just got to get traded around a lot.
I was so, you know, that's a good place to start because, you know, of course, I'm looking at your career, and you kind of just got traded to the right places, right? I mean, Colorado, that's a pretty spectacular team that you ended up with. I mean, when that kind of a trade happens, do you know right away? Like, did you have a sense that this was the shot?
Oh yeah, I knew right away. No, I'm totally kidding. I had no idea. I was just I was the other guy in the Fleury trade.
Right, fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember so I went. Fleury went to Colorado, and I went to Hershey. So I was in Hershey for about a month and a half or whatever, and I got called up for one game and played Chicago, and I fought Probert twice, and you know, did pretty good the first one. Second one wasn't much of a fight, but yeah, you don't know. You're just playing hockey, and I remember going there, and then I got called up, and like I'm doing my wooden sticks. This was back when I was using the Sherwood. I think it was a PMP 5150s, and I usually do 4 up for a game, and I broke one in warm up, and then I played a minute and 52 seconds, so it didn't really matter what stick I used for that. So really, no idea until I got there, and then it was refreshing just the attitude, because when I was in Calgary, it was more of a let's just say have fun kind of attitude, and we're trying to make the playoffs. And when I went to Colorado, it was the best, because it was like our goal is to win the cup. Anything less is, you know, not unacceptable, but that was basically it. Our goal is to win the cup, period. So it was great. So once I'd gotten there, you know, no really any idea before, and then you get there and you realize like the best players in the world are great guys, and they're all about winning and team guys, and you know, not selfish. So it was great.
That's awesome, and that was there were some exceptional players back then. Mike, sorry, you were going to say something, Mike?
Yeah, what's that like? Got to rewind you like about a minute and a half when you drop the gloves with Bob Probert. what goes through your head?
Don't get killed.
Yeah.
Survive.
No, yeah, pretty much. It was, you know, you knew, so. You know, they got pushed around. They played Chicago back-to-back. Colorado did. You know, they had Jeff Hodges at the time, who pound for pound is one of the toughest guys ever to play. Like, he was all 5'10", and he was fighting Grimson and Probert and all the heavyweights. And Michel Goulet came down to her. She was like, hey, it was me or Scott Parker. And Parks, he was hurt a little bit, and he was struggling. So they're like, you're going up or you're coming up. So I rode a plane with Michel Goulet. And basically, he was like, we need a physical presence. We need, you know, that kind of player. And I kind of knew what was expected of me. And I mean, at the time they had Proberts, Reed Simpson, Todd Simpson, I think Vandenbush, Jamie Allison, like they just had Brad Brown. So they had about like 6-7 guys that would fight. And obviously Proby was the heavyweight or the guy. And so just, it wasn't, you know, I'm thinking, well, I knew I had to fight, but I'm just preparing for a game normally. And we'd scored a goal or they scored. I don't even know, but I remember I go and I line up at center ice, and then this guy comes next to me, and I'm really looking, and look over, and it's Bob Probert. And he goes, yeah, your coach sent you out here to give me a try. And I was like, no, but if you want, you know, if you want to go, we can go. And he goes, you sure? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So it was just funny the way, like, because he's a scary man, and you know, like George Rock, all these guys, Stu Grimson, excuse me, they're all scary guys when you fight them. And hopefully, when I fought guys, they were a little scared of me. But it's just funny the way it's. You sure? You want to coach send you out here and fight? No, but if you want to go, we can. And are you sure? So he gave me a second. Like he gave me a chance to think about it. So I quite enjoyed that. But it was the adrenaline's going. I remember I was fighting, and I could hear Theo on the bench, keep swinging, keep swinging. And I went to the penalty box, and I go sit in the box, and Jeff Odgers, like a bunch of I remember Adam Foote, a couple other guys came over and like brought me my elbow pads and gloves and whatever. And so I just remember Jeff Odgers comes over, and he's like, "Oh, here you go, Darren." I was like, "How'd I do? Like, how'd I do? How's my face? Is my face okay?" And he's like, gave me the thumbs up. So I was like, "Okay." And I did pretty good because you're so amped up. So a little scary. That's anybody that says they're not scared is full of, you know what, you got to be a little scared, because if not, that's when you get hurt. So yeah, a little scary, but exciting too, because it was I knew it was an opportunity to get back in the league, basically, to show what I could do. So I could imagine on his side of things, like just having to fight every single guy. And I watched his documentary, and to start Ty Domi, they were talking about the fight, and it's just, I remember in junior, for me, like my third and fourth year, it was just kind of, there was Rocky Thompson and Wade Belak and a couple McAllister and a couple guys, but other than that, it was just anybody touched my line mates, I was just beating the crap out of them, or just basically doing whatever I wanted. So it's when you have like guys like that, you have guy after guy after guy that wants to prove themselves and wants to do whatever. So going back to Jeff Odgers, even like with the Probert thing at training camp, I asked Odgers if he wanted to fight. He's like, sure. And I'm like, you sure? Because he didn't have to fight me. He'd already been playing for 10, 12 years. So guys kind of know the new guys coming in, or you got to try and make your name or whatever. So you're a little bit scared, but it's good. It's a good fear, and it's exciting. And to be honest, I was just happy I didn't get knocked out or my nose broken. So for me, it was a win-win.
The teeth look good.
Yeah, there's 4 of them. These 2 are capped, and then I got a metal bridge on the bottom. So thanks, I appreciate that. I drink a lot of coffee, so
yeah.
Might have to get some teeth whitener here in the next year or so. But
Me
I appreciate that. I did okay as far as the teeth go.
Oh man, I look at your career, and you, of course, you had a pretty good career in Brandon. You guys won the championship out there, and then you get drafted in the first round, which is no small feat, 19th overall. You come out, you're playing some AHL, you get a full season in, more or less.
Yep.
And then you're back in the AHL. And why this comes to mind is you got, I think it's a buddy of yours, says you're, an example of determination, what determinates you. Was there a point at which, you go back to Colorado, that you think your career as an NHLer is done when you go back down like that?
No, so to answer a couple different things. So, when you get drafted, the GM drafts you and the head scout. And I remember talking to Tom Thompson and Doug Riseborough, who I have the utmost respect for, just a great man. And I remember Tom Thompson saying to me, like, we knew we wanted you. And he's like, I got a few pretty bad Charlie horses. They call them quad contusions, whatever. And he's like, you came back from injury and they put you on right wing. And I hadn't really played right wing before in the Western League. And I was struggling. He's like, we loved it because we knew we wanted you. So it was great. So, we wanted you. And then, so I almost made the team as an 18, 19-year-old. And then Doug got fired, and Tom Thompson got fired, and then you got a new GM and you got a new coach, and they're like, can you come to camp at under 230? And in junior, I played anywhere from 232 to 236. And, my first year junior, I was like 12% body fat, and then 10, and then, 9, and then down in the 8% range. And I was always in good shape. And so, I get sent down first cut after showed up at camp at 228. And, so I make it to Calgary, the next year, but I never forget, so we traded for Jerome McGinley. He got traded for Joe Newendike, and Jerome had a terrific career, one of the best people. And so I remember Brian Sutter. He called me in the summer. He said, "Hey, what's it going to take for you to make this team?" He's like, "I watch you play junior. You can hit, you can fight, you can score." And I said, "Well, when you show up to training camp and you're playing with a guy from junior in the East Coast, you kind of know where you're situated." And he goes, "Okay, all right." And, just show up to camp. So I showed up at camp, and I'm playing either Fleury or Castles, or Fleury and a Ginla, or Castles and a Ginla, and had a really good training camp. And I think I had 4 goals, 4 assists, and 6 fights in 8 games, and made the team. And I had 2 goals in 6 games, I believe. I scored the second game of the season, I think the 6th, and I thought I was going to score 40. And And I went on a 3-month drought after we went like 2-10 to start the season. And so I got guys were complaining about ice time. I got moved to the fourth line, and then so I didn't score. But I didn't score for like 3 months, and then we're playing in Madison Square Gardens and against Gretzky and Richter. And actually was Gretzky didn't really care about playing defense, and I tried to wrap around. I got the rebound. I went bar down on the rebound on Richter, and I was like, rights, And boys are all pumped, and I get back to the bench, and Brian Sutter goes, "It's about effing time." And I'm like, "Come on, man, you can let me enjoy a little bit." So, anyways, I have that year, but so I had a clause in my contract where if I played 70 games, my contract went from a 2-way to a 1-way. So I'd sat out. I had 68 games or 69 games. I sat out like 7 straight games or something. So I thought I was going down. And so the next game I get in. So I'm back in the lineup against Buffalo. And I'm like, I'm going to have the best game of my life just so I can buy myself another game and get that 1-way. So not that I would quit, but it's like, I get that 1-way money where they get sent down. And I had 12 shots. I think I played like 7 minutes. I had didn't score because it was against Dominic Hasek, and he's obviously a very good goaltender and whatever. But I had like 12 shots, had an unbelievable game. And long story short, so I finished the season, and they asked me if I could work out with Jerome McGinley because we're 2 Edmonton guys. And I'm like, sure, absolutely, I'd love to. So we worked out. It was the best summer of training I've ever had because Jerome is one of the best people, and he's a competitor. So we, work out, and then we play squash, and we had some of the most intense squash battles. If you want to see 2 guys and people would watch because we go flying into the walls, we wouldn't quit on a ball, and it was great. So we showed he was ripped, so I had at the time I probably had about 20 pounds, maybe 25 pounds on Jerome, and he would try and lift everything I would lift, and man, that was this guy was unbelievable. So long story short, so we traded for Ken Reagan and David Roach and for German Titov. And then Ken Reagan got hurt in training camp. And then David Roach was there and whatever. And I got sent down. So long story short, we trained together. Jerome went on to score 30 goals. And I got sent to the minors. And then I'm in the minors. And, one of the player personnel guys came down, and I said to him, what are you doing? And at the time, that was when all the Canadian teams were in jeopardy of losing their teams because of the Canadian dollar and, stuff. And I said to him, what are you doing? You guys are complaining about money, and, you're going to lose everyone, you're going to lose these teams. And I'm I'm making 4.25 down here. How does that make any sense? And, so I got traded to Colorado, and it was a great opportunity. So that one fight. So what I didn't say about that is I got called up. Bob Hartley's if you do the job, I don't care. I'll keep you here. We got guys. It doesn't matter. He gave his whole speech. And then, so I do that and I fight. And then after the game, he calls me and he says, "Yeah, we're sending you back down. And by the way, you got to lose 10 pounds. You can't play in the NHL at 246. So I was I'm 8% or 8.5% body fat. And you got guys George the Rock is played at 250 or something. And so anyways, I'm all dejected and down. So I get sent back down to Hershey, and, the best, 2 of the best coaches I've had. I've had many great coaches, but in the new NHL, we're all about feelings and talking, and you can't yell and scream anymore. This was obviously a different time. Mike Foligno and Jay Wells were my coaches, and 2 of the best guys. And I remember, I went down, I was all down, and Mike's "What's going on?" I said, "Man, I just fought Probert twice, and, until they can't play in the league, and I got to lose 10 pounds." He said, "Listen, I can't control what that a-hole's going to do up there. Down here, you're going to play. Just ride the bike after practice. You can lose weight. You know what you're doing, but you're going to play." And he played me, and, power play, penalty kill, and 4-on-4 and in overtime, and it was great. And then I got called up for the playoffs, and so the stupidity of it, in hockey back in the day, is that so they called up myself and Scott Parker to play against the Red Wings, and they had those the great teams. If you look at the late 90s, early 2000s, Fedorov, Yzerman, Larionov, all these guys, and they had some toughness too. Obviously McCarty, and so it was myself or Scott Parker that was going to play in the playoffs. And nothing against Scott Parker, he's a guy and is a good guy, but skill wise, I believe I a little bit more to offer, let's just say. And so Bob dressed Scott, and I felt so bad for Parksy. So Bob dresses him, and he says, "Okay, just in warm up, just skate across the red line." So Parksy's skating across the red line, staring at their guys, chirping them, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And he told him to sit at the end of the bench, and he sat at the end of the bench and just stared at him. Didn't play a shift, and I was like, everyone's like, "What are you doing?" But so long story short, so we go through the Black Ace thing, and where we're all, skating and training, and there was 9 of us. And then, so they played Parker ahead of me. And then they decided they were going to send Alex Tanguay and a couple of the younger guys like Skula that couldn't play anyways. they're going to send him down. So they sent Parksy home, and they kept me. And I'm like, what are you doing? But then at the end of the year, Michel Goulet, who was another great guy, said, listen, there's an opportunity for you here if you want to play. We need a physical presence, and, we got a lot of skill. And I was like, no problem. Like, I knew what I had to do. Like, I knew I had to play physical and hit and fight. And, you look at it and you go, would you rather, make X amount in the American Hockey League and score goals, or would you rather make this amount and play in the NHL with the likes of Peter Forsberg and Joe Sakic and Ray Bourque and going down the line? So it was a very easy decision for me. So it was a great opportunity. And I showed up in camp in very good shape as I tried. I was always in the top 10 in testing because I knew I had to be just to give me an edge, because I wasn't, let's just say I wasn't the most agile skater. So I knew I needed to do something to even things out. So, yeah, I just looked at it as a great opportunity, and I knew what they wanted of me, and I had no problem doing that. It was an honor to play on that team.
Now, you were on the ice when you guys won the cup. What's that like? Like, I mean, you hadn't even really played. It looks like you played 5 playoff games before that year in the playoffs in the NHL. So you hadn't gone that far. I mean, that's got to be unreal. I mean, just the I know we had George. Speaking of George, on here the other day, and he said being in the building in Edmonton in 06 was phenomenal. Being in the Stanley Cup Finals in Colorado was a legit shot at winning the cup. I mean, the Oilers, whether they won or not, they were a lot further ahead than they should be. But Colorado was an expectation by that point, right? What's that like?
Yep. Well, I mean, unbelievable. I don't know if you can put it into words. Apologies for coughing. I have allergies, and it's just great. I mean, it was like, again, going to Colorado, and we traded for Ray Bourque, and then we lost in 7 games in Dallas. And the 7th game was in Dallas, and we'd hit 2 posts. And at the end of the year, it was like, okay, we weren't sure if Ray was coming back or not. And, it was like, okay, going into training camp, so Ray decides he's going to come back. And it was like, we're finishing first overall. So if we have a game 7 and it's in our building, and anything less is unacceptable. Excuse me. And I was like, this is the best. It was unbelievable, just because that was the expectation. And it was like, no, it was pressure, but it wasn't, I didn't look at it as pressure. Neither did the guys. It was just, the atmosphere was, we're here to win. And Ray was so good about it, because it was win one for Ray. And Ray was like, F that, man, screw that. Win one for yourself. Because if you win, if you win one for yourself, my name's going to be right next to yours. Because you knew how much pressure there was. And so just the whole process of it in the year, and just, it was great. And a lot of people don't notice that, what it takes to win, and what you appreciate is it. Like, Ray, a lot of people don't know. So I've told this story. We were playing in St. Louis. I think we were going into double or triple overtime. And St. Louis had an unbelievable team. I mean, they had Pronger and Kachuk and all those guys, and McInnes, and they had a really good team. And like, they were killing. Like, Bob was playing Ray like 30-something minutes a night. And that game he played like 40-something. And I forget, he went into the locker room, and he went into the coach's office and slammed the door in between periods. He came out like a minute and a half, 2 minutes later. He goes, everyone's going to friggin' play. Be ready. And he went in and told Bob to play him less. He told him to roll the lines. Because, like, the first overtime, I think our line played. We'd scored that game. We'd only played like 1 shift. And, Joe Sakic was in unbelievable shape, and he was killing them. So, the whole process of it, and like, people, what it takes to win, and the atmosphere, it was unbelievable. So, I mean, it was great. Winning is, there's nothing better than winning. There's nothing better than being part of a team and winning. And, people don't realize like how injured guys are. And you mentioned like Edmonton in 2006. I actually, for game 6, it was in Edmonton, right? It was in
in Edmonton.
Yeah. So I met kind of cool story that I had Stanley Cup when we kind of got converged on in when I was in Denver, and I didn't drop the cup, and the cup guy got knocked over. And I'm like, I'm not dropping the cup. So I called our PR guy in Tampa, Bill Wickett, who's a great guy, and as I was actually flying home that day of game 6, so I said, hey, Wick, is there any chance I get tickets? I go, I don't care. Like, I just want to be in the building. You remember, Old Northlands Coliseum. And so in the U.S., so obviously I was living in Tampa, they were playing the Canadian anthem because it was so great. Obviously it was Paul Laurier, the anthem singer at the time. And he'd start, okay, and he'd start singing, and they'd stop, and all the fans. So like on ESPN or whatever, I think it was ABC or ESPN that was doing it. They're like, you guys got to see this. This is unbelievable. So they were playing the anthem in the States because like, this is unbelievable. And I was like getting chills. I'm getting chills right now. So called Wick. I was like, any chance I can get tickets? I don't care. I'll pay for them. They can be anywhere. So he's like, all right, give me a few minutes. So he called the NHL or whatever. And I go, who's it for? It was for me. And I go, okay. He calls me back. He goes, got good news and bad news. I'm like, okay. What's the bad news? He goes, the bad news, I got you 2 tickets, like 300 level or something. I'm like, okay, what's the good news? He's like, they're free. And I'm like, perfect. I don't care. So it was like, I was on the first row in the corner and it was unbelievable. Like, so just, it's funny you brought up, like, Edmonton in the playoffs. And I just wanted to go and have a beer and a hot dog. And I went with a buddy and it was great. Just the atmosphere, like growing up in Edmonton, it was unbelievable. So obviously we have passionate. You guys are Oilers guys and it's great to see the team doing well again. So winning's great. You see cities, they get behind it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, go ahead. Mike, it's Mega Thread Monday, and I'm hogging the mic, so go ahead.
You played some in Carolina, and luckily you weren't there in 06 when they beat us. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here tonight. Oh, man. So we got a guy that he's an Oilers fan, but he's also a Bolts fan, and he wants to hear what you have to say about your time in Tampa and how fun that was there, too.
It was great. It was, when I went to Carolina and, I was penciled in. I think I was playing the third line. I got hurt, pulled my groin in training camp, and I wasn't playing that much. And it was like I came from playing in the playoffs and I was playing, I think, like 9 or 10 minutes a game in Colorado after Ray had that little speech with the coaches. And, I looked at it, I had a great opportunity to maybe, become more of a player. Like as a fighter, you always want to, and back in the day, I could score. Like in junior, I had 40 goals, but I was always a physical guy. But you always want to, develop as a player. And I looked at Carolina where, there's some great guys there on the team, but it was like it wasn't playing. And God, it's just dying to get out of there. It was like I remember a guy said to me one time, he's like, "When you all fight, is that for real or is it like that wrestling?" I said, "I don't know. How about I punch you in the face and you tell me?" So, I mean, there's some passionate fans, but like, they have to see red or whatever. Like, I don't know, even like whatever they have, like have the storm surge after the game. Like, that's great. But like, I remember playing a game and it was like a Sunday afternoon and there's 10,000 people there and we go for warm up and they're not even playing the music. And I go for warm up, skate around, I'm like, turn the friggin' music on and whatever. So I was dying to get out of there. So I went to Tampa and so we're all staying in the hotel. It was like myself and Andre Waugh got traded there towards the deadline. And Andre, if you ever have an opportunity to get Andre on, he's a beauty. Oh my God. One of the funniest guys, good singer too, plays guitar. Anyway, so I get traded there and we're all in the hotel and with my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, same for him. And it was great. But so when I got traded there, like Marty St. Louis was hurt, Freddie Modine was hurt, Tim Taylor was hurt. Like they were calling guys up. So a guy got hurt and they were calling guys up from the East Coast, not even from the American Hockey League. I remember this guy came up from the East Coast and he was talking like, oh, this and that. And you guys are looking at him like, just shut the hell up. Just be happy you're here, man. Like, are you kidding me? You came from the East Coast. And there's nothing wrong with the East Coast, but to make the jump from the East Coast to the NHL, you should just be saying, thank you very much. This is great. And so it was a great, it was great. Going to Tampa was a great opportunity. And people ask me all the time, which cup was better, what was better. And, I look at it where Colorado was established superstars, your Ray Borks and your Blakes and your Foots and your Sakic's and going down the line. And Tampa we had a team of budding superstars, guys that were coming to their own, like Marty St. Louis and Vinny Lecavalier and, Ruslan Fedotenko, Dan Boyle. I mean, going down the line. So these were young guys that were, I don't want to say really good players, but I wouldn't say they were elite. And I don't think I'm being rude in any way, shape, or form. But you look at the coming of age of those guys right around that time, 03, 04. I'm watching the replays of the World Cup of Hockey 2004, and
Mm-hmm.
you got Richards, Lecavalier, and St. Louis, and McGinley, and all these guys when they're young. And that playoff run in 03 and then in 04 was really cool. So to answer your question, playing in Tampa was great. There's, people go, it's Florida or whatever, and I can't speak for the Panthers, but in Tampa, very passionate fans. There's a lot of guys from New York and Montreal down there and up, New York and stuff. And, when we won a Game 7, we had 23,000 people in the building, and we had 20,000 on the plaza. And it was unbelievable. Yeah. That place was rocking. And so it was great. It was a good experience. Great guys. Nolan Pratt was in Colorado with me, and he was there too. So some great people, and it was a young team that was coming into its own. And I remember like I was having a stag stay in Vegas, and I kind of planned it because, like, to be honest, I thought we'd go a couple rounds and maybe be done, right? And as we're winning, we win the first round, and a friend of a friend in Minnesota goes, "Hey," he goes, "You win the second round." He's like, "I think you guys could go all the way. I like the matchup, whatever." And he's looking at it. I wasn't even thinking because we're in the playoffs, and the guys are talking about coming back and, you know, COVID and all this stuff, and how guys have to be away from their wives and families for 2 to 3 months. And I'm like, if you win a Stanley Cup, you're basically saying hi to your wife. You know, at the time I didn't have kids, but it's, you say hi, you're in a hotel the night before a game, and you play the game, and then you're traveling or whatever. It's 2.5 months. It's a grind. So, you know, I just remember my buddy's like, "Oh yeah, I think you better move it back." So I had a plan. I kept moving it back, and then he's like, we got against Philly, and he's like, "If you beat Philly, well, you guys are going to win." And then, you know, sure enough, we were lucky enough, and, you know, to beat the Flames. But it was great. It was the whole experience. Again, like, winning's awesome, and the friendships you have, and like with everything that's happened with, you know, COVID and isolation and the Zoom and Skype and all this stuff, is that we've had a couple Zoom calls with the 04 team, which was great. And they're supposed to be an hour, and they end up being like 6 or 7 hours. And guys from, like, we had guys come on, like the one we had Habib Bulin on, he's in Russia, and then Seaback woke up because he's in Slovakia. So, like, or wherever, like, I think he's in Slovakia or something. So different time zone. So we did that, and then they replayed Game 7. So just guys talking about it and, like, telling their experiences, and even things I remember. I can remember certain things, and I've had a few concussions, but guys remember certain stuff that you don't even remember, and just the little things that happen within a series or just within a playoff run. And, you know, it's very cool. Like, you need, it's a true team sport. You need everybody. Guys get injured, and, you know, I go back to there's a guy by the name of Stan Netchkash. It's spelled Necker, but it's pronounced Netchkash. And he came in. I thought he played one game, but he came in and played 2 games. And Dan Boyle was hurt, and I think Sarge or Cullimore was hurt, someone else. And he came in and he played 2 games. And the second game, he literally ripped his groin off the bone. Oh. And his leg was purple after the game. But he's like, you know, just shoot me up. He had to make it through the game, and he killed a couple penalties, and it was just like a steady defenseman, you know, good first pass, and, you know, and it was unbelievable. But if he doesn't play those 2 games and basically rip his groin off the bone, we don't win. And so little things like that, I always like telling those stories, and guys, and, you know, I was lucky enough in Tampa to play, you know, every game and the playoffs that year. But you need everybody. Like, it's just, it's great. I mean, if they can get hockey back this year, it'll be awesome, just because I think the intensity would be unbelievable. And, you know, obviously you had a great team in Edmonton, some talented young players in Toronto, like, go all around the league. So I'm excited if they can get that going. It'll be very cool.
So I've got to ask you, sorry, Mike, I mean, you and Iginla obviously know each other. You trained with them. When you get together now, I mean, was the goal in, or was it, or what, did it not cross the line? And does it ever come up?
No, he actually came. So he came to both my Stanley Cup parties. I invited him. And
yeah.
I didn't expect him to come, and he came and showed up.
Right on.
Just because that's the kind of guy he is, just to say hi and congratulations. And, you know, we didn't talk about the goal, and we watched it again. We were doing one of the Zoom calls, and they were showing it, and it didn't, you know, there's different video angles. One says it's in or not. And, you know, I just said, if you like, I tell my kids, like, playing hockey, I got, you know, young boys that are playing, and I'm like, because goalies especially in Florida, you know, they do it here too, but even men's leagues goalies, any level, like, they'll put their hand back and reach, you know, and grab the puck and pull it back over the line if it's over a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. Which, whatever. And like, kids are like, it was in. He pulled it out. So I always tell them, like, if you're going to score, you better, like, tickle the twine. Like, it better bulge. Like, you better hit the back, and there better be,
yeah.
You know, there better be no question. So, no, we never really, never talked about the goal, but, you know, we golfed quite a few times that summer. And I remember saying to him, like, what were you doing fighting? Like, why are you fighting? And he's a tough guy. Like, he's one of the toughest skilled guys. Like, he's tough for any guy, but for a skill guy, oh my God. But, like, he'll fight anybody when he gets mad. I'm like, what are you doing fighting? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, why are you fighting? And he's like, well, that's kind of what we did. You know, I'd do anything for the team. I'm like, I know you would, but, like, no Jerome McGinley, you guys are done. Like, you're toast. Like, you break your hand, you're done. He's like, well, I know he didn't think that way, whatever. And then I finally said to him, like, do you have any idea what that did for us? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like Vinny the Cavalier is pretty tough. Like, he's for a skilled guy, he's a pretty tough guy, but fighting Jerome, like Iggy's tough. Like I put Jerome like heavyweights, like middleweight to heavyweights. Like for me,
Yeah.
toughness when he gets mad. And I was like, do you know what that did for us? Because I'm like, the fact that Vinny hung in there and didn't get killed. And even Vinny said that. He's like, oh my God, he missed me with a couple. He's like, I thought I was dead. And I was like, what that did for us, because like Calgary was this big, tough team. And, you know, we had some physical guys, myself and Andre Waugh and Sarge and Comer, but we didn't have the meat they had. And we were just going to keep coming. You keep hitting us and running us, but we were going to keep coming. I just said, I'm like, you know what that did for us? Like, that was like, for us, like, I'm like a tough guy, I guess, for every guy that fought. And I'm watching Vinny. I'm like, oh my God, like we got to go for this guy. So I remember saying that to him. So we never really talked about the goal, but I was chirping somebody on Facebook because they're talking about the goal, whatever. So I didn't really try. I just said, hey, you still to game 7.
Yeah.
Right.
That whole thing though with the Ginla endeared me as an Oilers fan to him, because he fought every team's, like, you know, he fought Hatcher, he fought Le Cavalier, like he was looking for C's on the chest, on their crests, and that's what he was going after. And you know, Jerome is probably the most honest hockey player, you know, from a Calgary standpoint I've ever seen. He's like our Ryan Smith, but he had the fisticuffs to go with it, right? Like, I love Jerome McGinley. I'm not afraid to say it, even though this is Oilers podcast. But he belongs in the Hall, and he's great, and I love him for doing that. So I'm glad he didn't hear you, or you didn't tell him to not do that before.
As are you guys. Yeah.
Worked out better for us, but one of the best guys. Imagine if he would have played for the Oilers.
Oh,
St. Albert guy. Oh my God.
We did. Especially at the end there was talk of, you know, them going after him a little bit. So I'm sure they probably did, but
yeah, I wish, like, there's a guy too, like, you look at guys, if they could have won or should have won, and I say there's a guy that should have won. He deserved to win, and he was always like, remember he went to Pittsburgh and Boston. He was always a year off, whatever, and just felt, not that I feel bad for him, because he had an unbelievable career. And I mean, the golden goal, he made the assist to Crosby and had a terrific career. But like, there's a guy that would do anything to win. And you look at teams that win, and I like to use Alex Ovechkin as an example, where I remember Washington, they had all these skilled teams. They kept trading for guys, and then the year they won, they probably had the least skilled team. But I watched him play, and he's playing defense, he's blocking shots, and I'm going, like, this guy wants to win. And if your star player is doing that, blocking shots or fighting or hitting, like, your third and fourth line guys are definitely, like, if I see Alex Ovechkin blocking a shot, I'm diving in front of it with my face, or I'm probably not playing. So what that does for the team when your leaders do stuff like that, your Ginlas, your Cavaliers, your Ovechkins, whatever, is great. Even Ryan Smith, you know, I mean, obviously he's taken pucks to the face and played through it. He's a warrior. So those are the guys we all appreciate, I think, you know, no matter what team. Like, there's guys you hate. There's guys people ask me about certain guys, like, who do you hate? And there's guys you hate, but man, if they're on your team, like Brad Marchand, you hate him. Like, everybody hates him. But man, if he was on your team, he'd look pretty good with Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl. So, you know, who knows? What are you going to say? But just a great person, Jerome.
I always say
I got to dig into your hate a little bit.
Sure.
Neil in Ottawa.
Oh, I don't have a problem with him. I really
no,
not at all. No, he's a great guy. He was really good buddies with Wade Redden, who I played junior at Fredzy, and I had no problem with him. So I fought him the one time. I did really well, and then I had an injury, and Torts put me out there for like 30 seconds in the game, and he wanted to fight, and so we fight, and I couldn't even really fight, and then when that happened with like in the playoffs, I think you're referring to, that wasn't like, I don't have an issue with him at all. So Torts called me out in front of the whole bench. He's like, Dinger, you better grab someone next shift. And Torts never really did. Like, he never was a guy that did that. There was games where when we were playing Calgary, he's like, don't fight Ottawa. Because he's like, he looked it up. There was a stat where the games that it was the year, you know, Flames were doing that year, 2004, right?
Yeah.
And so they had a stat where the games that Ottawa fought in, they were like 20 or 24-2 or something. So he's like, do not fight him. I'm like, no matter what, unless he like cross-checks someone in the face, he's like, do not fight him. So He's skating around like the whole game, like, oh, fight me, fight. You know, he's like, let's go, let's fight. And I'm like, I can't fight, sorry, but he's like, come on, you know, whatever. But anyways, so with Neil, like with the Neil situation, it wasn't even like he was running around, he was being an idiot, but like he was doing his job. So like he bumped into Sean Burke, and we were down 5-2, and Torch said, hey, you got to go, you know, go grab somebody or go do something. So he put me out against Neil. And I was like, hey, we're going. He's like, what? And I said, we're going. As soon as the puck drops, we're going. So you better drop your gloves. So I told him, and he turtle, like, they say turtle, whatever, but like, he's up 5-2. He doesn't want to fight. I get it. But, you know, I went too far. But then Torts was like, why'd you do that? You went too far. And I'm like, you called me out in front of the whole team, say, go grab somebody or do something. And then I do. And then you tell me I went too far. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, draw my gloves, and you go turtles, like, whatever. So, yeah, I don't really have an issue. Chris Neal's a tough guy.
So do you have an issue with the instigator penalty then more than anything?
Yeah, that was brutal. Like that's yeah, I like to say I'm an old school guy. Like I came in obviously mid 90s, and they were kind of getting, but you're still at your heavyweights. But like they talk about the code and the honor code, and you know I watch old games now where I'm watching like Dave Brown and Jim Kite, and he's got him down and he's giving him a couple more, and usually there was something more to that, but I tell you, like, I'll never forget, there's one game we were playing LA, and Stu Grimson, who's a scary man, and we're playing LA in Denver, and Nelson Emerson wasn't a very big guy, and he was dumping the puck in, and as he was shooting it, I hit him. And it wasn't a dirty hit or anything, but he was like that, you know, like that Mike Bossy video, The Danger Zone, where they tell kids, like, don't face the boards. Well, there's a reason why. Like, you're kind of laughing, but it's like, you know, they call it The Danger Zone. The video is cheesy, but there's a reason why. So he's like right at the blue line. He dumps it in. And as he's dumping it in, he's like on 1 foot, and I hit him. And he literally, like, I sent him flying like 5 feet and just crushed him. And like, he was concussed. And I felt bad because, you know, like, I was just finishing my check. And so I'm sitting in the penalty box, and I got it wasn't even a penalty, but they gave me 2 minutes for boarding or something because they had to give me something. And so I'm sitting in the penalty box. And Stu Grimson, who never really played in the power play, they put him out there. Like, so I think it was Brian Smolinski was on the power play. And they weren't even trying to score, really. So Smolinski goes to the bench at like 30. There's like a signal, like, so 30 seconds to go. Smolinski goes to the bench, and Grimson hops out. And we're on, like, so they have like zone pressure or whatever you want to be. They have control of the puck in our zone. And Grimson's just skating around. And he's like looking at the clock, looking at the box. He's looking at the clock and looking at the box. He's not even, I'm like, this guy's got an opportunity. He's on the power play. He doesn't give two craps. And so he's looking at the clock, and he's looking at the box, and Bob Hartley's like, don't fight, Dish, don't fight. And I'm like, yeah, really? So literally like 5 seconds to go on the penalty. He skates over to the penalty box. He's like, let's go, we're going. I'm like, I can't. My Bob's like, don't fight. And I'm like, I can't, man. Like, I'm sorry, my coach. He goes, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to count to 3 and I'm going to drop my gloves. So you can either drop your gloves or I'm going to start punching you. So he's like 1, 2. And so we did. And, I wasn't much of a fight or whatever, but I had to fight. You know what I mean? I wasn't going to. And then Bob's like, why'd you fight? And I'm like, because I'm not going to turtle. Like, I'm like supposed to be a tough guy or fight or whatever. And there's that code where, I wasn't a dirty hit, but like he's got a job to do. And so if I don't fight him, he's going to run around. He's going to hurt one of our guys. You know what I mean? Or he's going to try and do something. So to answer your question in a roundabout way, the instigator rule is terrible because, before that, it was like if you weren't feeling great and you're going into Edmonton, say, and they had the Rock and, like a couple of heavies, like you weren't going to run around and be an idiot because he could hurt you really badly. So, and it wasn't like, oh, I don't want to fight. Like, oh, no, I'm not fighting. It was like the refs are like, hey, go ahead. Like, I never forget there was this ref I had, Mike Hasenfratz. I had him in the Western League, and I ran into him actually in Carolina. My wife and I were at the PF Chang's, and we were having a beer and eating, and he's there having a whiskey and Coke, and we were talking about this brawl that happened back in juniors in like Medicine Hat or something. And I never forget, he's like, yeah, remember that brawl? And I was like, no, what are you talking about? I can't remember the guy's name, but he's like, so this guy started the brawl, like started everything. It was like cheap shot somebody. So it was line brawl after line brawl. And he's like, the code, like you talk about the code or accountability or, like rules and stuff. And back in the Western League, in the NHL, it was like, you had to answer. Like Domi and Probert, like, Domi's going to do this and whatever. You're going to fight again. Like, you're going to get it. Or no, you better be ready the next time. So I just never forget that he was telling me that story. And he was like, okay, there's line ball after line ball. So he's like the guy that started everything. And refs will tell you, like, there's good refs and bad refs, but, you know, there's two words, and they both start with C. You can't call a ref. And I'm not going to say them on air, but you can you can figure it out on your own. And he's like, you know, you can call me either one. You know, you can tell me to go F myself, tell me I suck or whatever. I get it. It's an emotional game. So he's like, this guy's trying to get kicked out. So he's calling me, you know, the C word and the C word, whatever. And he's like, you can call me whatever you want. I'm not kicking you out. And the guy's like, what? And he's like, you can call me, you can tell me to go F myself. You can tell me whatever. He's like, I'm not kicking you out. You got to answer the bell because you started all this. And I remember him telling that story. And he's like, I told him, he's like, you're going to take your beating. You didn't like, and the guy wasn't like a heavyweight, but he's like, you're going to have to fight, you know, in the Western League, like the skill guys would fight the skill guys. And then, you know, whatever, like, you had to fight at least once or twice a year. You just had to, just for morale or whatever. So I just remember that him telling that story where he's like, you're not getting off that easy because you started all this and all your teammates have been fighting for you. So I'm not kicking you out. So like, I just love that. I love the accountability of that where, you know, like fear, I tell people fear is a great deterrent. You know, like if you're like the threat of bodily harm and like, you know, obviously the game's evolved and it's fast and there's highly skilled guys, but you know, I'll tell you, like if anyone touched, like if there was no instigator rule and you don't want it to go back to that place, but like if anybody touched Connor McDavid and you could just go grab that guy and just pound him, like nobody touched him. Like, can you imagine? Like it was like, and you know, the rules are obviously different now. So, you know, I think it was one of the worst rules ever put in the game. And I understand why they're doing it, but, you know, it's the old thing, like, who gets up and goes to the bathroom when a fight starts? Like, is anybody going, oh, sorry, I got to go, there's a fight, see you later,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
get a beer, right? You know what I mean? Like, there's no one, like, so.
Well, I get up.
understand it, but,
I get up to get
Yeah.
closer to the screen.
no, I can't watch this, I got to go to the bathroom, excuse me. You know, when everyone's like, so yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that rule. I think it really, you know, like who was it? It was Brian Burke or someone that called them the rats. Like it really enabled the Sean Averys and the guys just to run around and be idiots. And you couldn't. And the worst part is you're trying to do your job. So, you know, I'm a protector, whatever you want to call it, a fighter, whatever. And you're trying to do your job and you're trying to get a guy to fight and you can't really drop your gloves because you don't know if the guy's going to fight or not because he's going to try and draw a penalty. So that was the worst part about it. So you saw, and there was another time where, so Sean Avery, speaking to him and Cam Jansen, I think it was, and Jansen was in New Jersey and Avery was running his mouth, whatever. And so he's like giving the fake glove drop. So Jansen drops his gloves and he thought the refs were going to come in. And this is after the instigator rule. And the refs went like, cause they knew, like refs know, like we don't like them and we always complain, but officials know history and who does what and whatever. And within the rules, they really try and let guys police themselves. Obviously there's more scrutiny now, but I remember that one where it's, so Jansen's got him. He's just pumping him, and he's like Avery's turtling, but he's just like pumping him, and he gets up and like. So before that happened, the linesmen were kind of like they're like checking for quarters. They're looking away, like you're gonna give him like a good 5 or 10 seconds to get a few in because he probably deserved it. So I love that one where like Avery gets up, he's like, what the, you know, like giving like, well, you know, why didn't you get in there? And they're like, well, sorry, you know, I thought you were gonna fight. So. I like the accountability. I like the self-policing aspect of it. I mean, obviously, there's not much of that anymore, but still, you know, there's got to be a little bit of that. There's got to be a little fear. It's a contact sport, and you know, guys cut in the middle. Even like I coach Pee Wee AA last couple of years, and I tell kids, you cut to the middle. I'm like, next year you're playing bad. I'm like, you're dead. Like you're gonna get smoked. Go wide. You know, chip the puck. So, yeah, I know my answers are quite long, but not a fan of that rule whatsoever. I think it didn't help the game, but, you know, they're trying to evolve it and do different things. But I think it just enabled guys to run around and didn't have that accountability factor.
Who do you like to watch now?
Obviously Connor McDavid. I think moving back to Edmonton, you know, just watching him skate, the speed at which he could play is unbelievable. So, you know, I like watching him play. I like watching Joe Thornton. I like watching an older guy who, you know, he reminds me of Dave Anderchuk a little bit. Just, you know, just like doesn't look fast, but just a skilled guy, could still play. I like watching Brett, like Carlson. Obviously, he's had a couple tough years, but I like the way, you know, you jump up in the play, Burns. Let me think. What else? Lucic. I still enjoy Lucic. He's a good guy. I like him. Like he's, obviously his skills of, he's not as fast anymore, but like even like there's just little bits of that where, man, he like when he hits you, he's trying to put you 5 rows deep. It's not like, oh, I'm just hitting you because I have to. He's trying to put you 5 rows deep. So I enjoy him. Cassian, I really enjoy. I mean, that's I get to know Mike Smith a little bit from his time in Tampa when I was there. Great guy. And just all that stuff with Kachuk and Cassian, that was unbelievable. Like it was great for the game. And the best part was like the other fight. Like everyone remembers who the other guys were that fought, the skilled guys.
Yeah,
Kachuk and Bear and Nugent
Monahan.
Yeah, and that was great. Like when you see skilled guys that are fighting, so that was really entertaining. So, but like even the way Cassian, like when the wires crossed a little bit when he got it around the second time, he was like, okay. And I tell you, like I like Kachuk too. Like he's an instigator. He does his job or whatever. But man, he was lucky because he was this close to getting knocked out a couple times. So I enjoy watching Cassian because he's kind of that throwback. I guess tough guy. You know what I mean? He could fight, he could play, and I'm trying off the top of my head.
True kind of power forward, eh?
Yeah, I enjoy those guys. Like the guys that are hard to Chris Kreider, guys that are hard to play against. I really enjoy those guys that because there's not a lot of fighting anymore. We know that, but even when coaching, I tell my kids like be hard to play against. They're like, what does that mean? I'm like, I don't know. You tell me. Think about it. Like just be miserable. Like finish your checks, forward check, back check. So guys that play, not everyone's built to play that way, but just guys that are just hard to play against. Like Adam Foote was hard to play against, and he was hard to practice against. And we were buddies, and I tell you, in practice, he was just miserable to play against because he just wacky and cross-checky. And so off the top of my head, those guys in current NHL, I don't know, that's kind of, Crosby's a great player, obviously. The top players are fun to watch. Just the stuff they can do is great. So there's probably more. I just can't think of it on top.
I got one more thing for you, Chris.
Sure.
Were you a chirper on the ice? And who was the best chirper you played against?
I was a little bit. Like a junior, I chirped quite a bit in the NHL. And I remember one time, I think I said to Jeff Bukaboom, take the piano off your back. I was like, hey, Bukaboom, take the piano off your back, because he was like towards the end and he was slower. And I remember someone said to me, like, that's Jeff Bukaboom. I'm like, oh, yeah, good point. But I'm like, just chirp or whatever. So, yeah, I chirp a little bit. Like, I was, everybody chirps. Andre Waugh was really good. He was really good. We have a video, actually, from our cup run. So we have the video that's they put out for everybody, the DVD set, and then they had one for the guys that had like the behind the scenes stuff and that didn't have any muting, I guess, of bad words. And oh my God. So we were watching one of the Zoom calls and it was just Andre. Like it was a little bit of me. Usually we were sitting beside each other on the bench or on the ice, and he was just the whole time just going. So, there's so many good guys. Like Barnaby chirped a lot. There's guys like over the years, but Andre was the guy I played with. He was so, oh my God. I was laughing half the time because it was just like some of the stuff he said, it made no sense or it was just so funny, but you're trying to get under a guy's skin. I was laughing. I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, I chirped a little bit, but there's so many guys. Like it's just every game. And like, I love watching what's his name? Bad Martin. So there was the two brothers. Who was the guy that played in Detroit? Drew Miller.
Yeah.
He was the brothers of the goalie. And God, I remember it's like, what? You're a minor leaguer. He's like, what? What are you talking about? You played more games in the minors than me, you friggin' idiot. And then he's like, throw some dye in your hair, because Drew Miller's hair went like super white right away. And he was in Tampa too. And I ran into him years before, and he's a good guy, whatever. So, oh my God, so many good chirpers. So I was like, okay. I would say I was okay.
You ever use the rings to chirp with? How many? No, you never did that.
No, like once I think that's way too. I don't know. I just don't. I think one time I said 2 cups. Like that was it.
Yeah.
Like what? Like you're a plumber or some whatever. I just said 2 cups. Like so. I don't like using it. There was actually in Philadelphia. I had won a couple games in Philadelphia. There's one game, I think it was the American Hockey League. I think I had like 52 minutes. I had 3 fights. I was in the box like the whole game. And Philly, they're ruthless. They're just all over you and chirping, whatever. And this guy was just chirping me. And I was like, bring your lunchbox down. I'll sign it for you. And then I was like, his girlfriend, I'm like, that's your girlfriend? You bring her home public? Like, it's just, I feel terrible now, but it was like, they're just ruthless. And I was in there for so long where the people in Philadelphia, they're really bad and they chirp or whatever. But if you chirp them back good, and it's a good chirp, like I remember a couple fans were like, oh, he got you on that one. That was a good one. So you're just going back and forth and you're sitting there anyway, so you might as well entertain yourself. So I've never really used the Stanley Cup thing. I just don't. I don't even wear my rings, to be honest with you. I wear them like special occasions, like a wedding or something. I just I don't know. I'm lucky enough to have won. I played with some great players. People know you've won, so I don't think I got to chirp anybody.
Yeah,
but if
absolutely.
I ever have to, I think I will pull it out if I have to. But that would be my like atomic, my nuclear missile. That would be my like be all end all. And someone tells me I can't skate and I'm fat and slow or something, I'll be like, oh yeah, well, how many cups? I got a beer league championship. So hey, go stuff it.
That's awesome. You obviously you must get out with the alumni in Edmonton. You get out and play with them sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's one guy local. I actually went to high school with him, Jason Strudz. You remember fighting him?
Boy. Struddy.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, he's a good chirper too, actually. So in junior, I'd fight him, and we played against him in the league championships, and then again the Memorial Cup, and he got tougher and tougher. Yeah, he's a guy too that I think he was a second round pick, wasn't he, to the Islanders?
Third round, I think we were talking about, but yeah, he was up there, 63rd overall or something like that. Yeah.
But just a guy too that just worked his ass off, and in the summers we'd all skate together, and we do the Perry Burns pro camp. But before Jamie McLennan would get ice, and it was just a guy that he got tougher and tougher, and he worked his ass off. He was always in good shape, and he was getting extra ice, and he had a really good chirp. Like, oh my God, like I was chirping about something, about knee bend or something. He's like, oh yeah, knee bend. He's like, why don't you do the one-legged push? So I had this thing where I'd like protect the puck and put my, left hand out, and I'd just go around. I'd like push with one leg, and he was imitating me, and it was so good. I was actually like literally peeing myself laughing. So Struddy was a good thing you brought him up. Struddy was a good chirper too, but he was a good guy. And I like the stories too where they brought him back into New York and different places like that. So it's good to hear him on the radio and stuff. He's chirped me a couple times on the radio too. So yeah, Struddy's a good guy. Like, that's what I mean. You meet so many guys playing, and they were like the top team in junior. And Brandon, we had some good teams, and like again, he's the guy that had a good career and he fought tough guys. Like if everything like being stuck at home, like I still been working because I sell gloves and I deliver them and all that jazz. But like at night, like I get on YouTube and I like watching old fight clips and old clips, and so I got on Strudwick too because he was fighting someone else, and I was like, man, he had some good tilts. Like in Edmonton, he had some, he'd switch to lefts, and I remember he was talking one time about fighting, and when he was in Vancouver because there was himself, and I think Brad May was there for a little bit, and then they obviously had Donald Brashear, and I remember him talking about it. He goes, I knew every time we were playing Colorado, I was either fighting Dingman or Parker, and vice versa, Brashear. So it was like you knew before every game, so we'd fight every game, and we're buddies in the summer, but you knew you had to do it and had to fight and whatever. So yeah, Stray's a good guy, good chirper too, KC guy too, right? Back in the day.
Yeah. He had. It was kind of interesting, one of the things he said when he went out to Kamloops, he said he was there for the first year and he wasn't getting much time, and the janitor said, "Hey, Struds, I got more fights than you." And he said that's when he clued in on what he needed to do to do it, and then he ended up 600 plus games in the NHL, which is nothing to scoff at all. How was your time in when you went over to Europe? Like, what was that like for you?
It was great. It was Sweden was really good. I didn't. So my oldest boy is 13. So he was born in October, and I didn't go over till middle of November. It's in Södertälje, which is a town about 30 minutes outside of Stockholm. And so I went over for about a month, a little bit, and I came home for Christmas and got my wife and son. But it was great. But I went over there, and I got the deal through Stan Netchcast, the guy I was talking about earlier, and he had played there. So this team was in the top league in Sweden, and then they have the relegation where the bottom two teams from the top league play against the top four, I think it is, in the second division, or the Allsvenskan, whatever they called it. And so I went over there, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to play in Europe and have some fun. I work hard. I was in good shape. I was skating, whatever. So I go over there, and it's like, well, no pressure, but the fan club paid half your salary. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, the GM was like, well, we paid half your salary, and we didn't have that much, so the fan club paid the other half your salary. I wasn't making like huge money, let me just clarify, but still, like, the fan club raised money, so it's like no pressure. The fan club's paying half your salary. So I did this like fan club thing, and so it was all the fans are like, oh, I hear you play drums. So I was like, yeah, and they're like, okay, get up and play. I'm like, what? Like, get up and play. And the GM, and I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, the fans, they want to, they like it. They want. So I'm like, okay, when am I gonna play? So I get up and I just started playing a little bit, and so I ended up playing a couple songs or whatever. And I was like I thought I was just gonna go over and work hard and have fun, and then there was all this pressure to win because they'd been in the top league for the last 50 years or something, and they've been relegated. So it was kind of good in that sense, where like it was fun, but it was great. Like, Swedish people are the nicest people. Like, I'd go around, I learned a little Swedish, simple things, please, thank you, how to order a cold beverage, let's say that. And I remember Swedish people would be like, I'm sorry, my English isn't that good. I'm like, your English isn't that. I'm like, I'm in your country. Like, they're apologizing. So, but it was a great experience. We ended up, I know you don't really win the relegation, but we ended up doing well, and we made it. The team made it back to the top league, so it was a great experience. Good guys. It was, beautiful country, and thing there too is that in Sweden, it's like the NHL. Like, they're doing dry land, and it's great. It's like I was always the guy that trained before practice and after practice, but there we'd play a game on, say, like a Thursday, and then we'd practice Friday and then have Saturday off, and I'm like, okay, so what we do is we'd practice, and we take the train into Stockholm, and then, go have dinner and have a few drinks or whatever, and go shopping and all that stuff. But the thing is, after the practice, after the game, like, we're doing we're doing cleans and squats and stuff like that, which is fine. But then we're doing like hurdles, like we're doing hurdle jumps and stuff. And I'm like, whoa, I'm like 30 years old here, man. I just played like 24 minutes, which or 20 some minutes, which for me is like, 3 games worth of hockey in the NHL. And I'm like, I can't be doing this like day after. I was trying to I'm all for working out and, do all this, but I'm like, they took the training super serious, but I'm like, I can't be doing this after a game. Like, I'm sorry. I don't want to be not a team guy. Like, I'll ride the bike really hard. I'll lift, but I can't be doing these hurdle jumps and like other stuff. My back was killing me, but it was a great experience. Denmark was fun too. But, when my wife came over with my son, and there was like a bad stomach flu going around, and they were really sick. So I don't know if you guys know about washing machines, but in Europe, they're not very big.
Yeah.
And they take like 2.5 hours to do like one load. So like the 25-minute speed cycle we have here, we really take that for granted. So I was literally going outside and going down to the basement to do my laundry, and like that was not a fun experience. So, but other than the laundry side of it, Europe was great. It was a great experience. It was, met some great guys that I still keep in touch with. So it was fun. It was entertaining. And the one thing about Sweden, which was great, was like their fan club is like, they're very passionate. They're like soccer, like the sport club, they called it. And they go to every game. And so like in soccer, they stand up the whole game or pretty much, and they're cheering and stuff. And we see that in football when the other, when the visiting team has the ball, the home team's all standing up, But their fan club would go to every game, and there's a section in the corner that was all open seating where they could all stand. And every time I went on the ice, they'd chant, "Come on, Dingman! Come on, Dingman!" And I was like, "This is great, man!" I get on the ice, and I'm like, I didn't even touch the puck, and they chant my name, and I'm like, "This is great!" So it was a fun experience. It was. I'm glad I did it. It was great. But after a couple of years, it was time to do something else. So
they didn't do that in Tampa. There was no fan club in Tampa.
There was no fan club. Well, they were cheering. They were just cheering for better players than me. So I appreciated that they were chanting my name for just because I was on the ice. So it was great. It was a really good experience.
That's awesome. You went after your career. You went and tried broadcasting out for a little bit, right? Did you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did. Yes, I did. So that's when she had my other son, or my second child. I got three now. Um, and it was like I could have kept playing. I was going to play. I had an offer to go to Italy, and you're playing just to play. And it was like, okay, I'm time to do something else. So I reached out again to Bill Wicked and said, I'm looking to do something. He's like, what are you looking to do? I said, I'll do anything. So I started doing season ticket drives and all these different things. And so the first year I did 12 games, like pregame, postgame, intermission, analysis. And then I did 24 and then kept working my way up. And then in my last year, I did like 25 games in between the benches, hosted a few games. There was this new station, CBS radio. So I had a morning show, 98.7 The Fan, for 2 years. We got to number 5 in the market, which was great. But at the time, I was doing TV for the Lightning at night, and then I had a 6 a.m. Radio show. So I'd get up at 2:30 and go for a workout, and then get to the station at 5. But it seemed like every game during the week would go to overtime. So didn't get a lot of sleep, but it was great. So yeah, I did a little bit of that. But my old joke, and everyone will say that, is that I have a face for radio. I'm really good looking on the radio. So, but I got to tell you a story about makeup. Is that guys wear makeup. Everybody wears makeup on TV. And I was in Montreal. I was first started doing TV, and my wife would give me her old powder, it's called, or whatever, blush. The stuff whatever you put it on so your face isn't super shiny. And I said to this lady, she was EMT and she'd worked in Montreal for forever. I said, is there a bathroom around here? And she's like, what? And I said, is there a restroom around here? She's like, kind of like, why? And I said, well, I got to put my makeup on. She goes, let me see that. And then so I handed the powder to her and she's like, you can't wear this. This stuff's terrible. It blocks your pores. And I'm like, I don't really care. I'm wearing it for like 2 hours or 2.5 hours. And I'm like, what happened? Where'd my life go? I went from like, hitting people and fighting and trying to score to talking about what kind of makeup I'm wearing. So, anyways, but yeah, I did some broadcasting for 6 years or so, 6-7 years.
Oh, that's awesome. That's good. I joked around with Strudwick when I had him on the program. I play a ton of beer league hockey, and I do this podcast for which I don't get paid, and he's pretty much got paid for everything I do for free. Or pay for that matter. So I don't know where I went wrong, but clearly I didn't do something right because it's cost me a lot of money.
You gotta get your
That's
right. Viewership up, get your ratings up, get you some sponsorship.
That's right.
Get a nice beer company. We can all support, or we get enough viewers, maybe Stoke Gloves. We'll get you get you some stuff. So yeah, you gotta start there. When I started in Tampa too. Well, it's funny you say that because So Bill Wicked, I was like, I'll do anything. He's like, well, I can't really pay you. He's like, you like to go to shows? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, well, I can give you free concert tickets. So I was like, sure. So like that 2 years where I never got paid, but I was just paying my dues. Like, hey, I'll do anything, whatever. I mean, I went to every show. I went to Bon Jovi, back-to-back nights. I went to Lady Gaga and Iron Maiden.
Oh.
And,
That's
I'm more of a metal, metal guy, but Lady Gaga was entertaining, but like she's out of breath because she's dancing and singing. She's like, my poker face, in between songs. She's like, where's my little monsters at? And then like Bruce Dickinson, who's like 450 at the time, he's running around the stage. He's like, run to the hills, and he's like not out of breath at all. So, anyways, I got to go to a lot of shows. I didn't get paid, but I got free tickets. So that was one of the positives. So you can look at it that way. So you're not getting paid to do your podcast, but one day maybe get free concert tickets.
Maybe I'll get some free concert tickets. Yeah. No, it's been a blast, and it's been great to have you today. Mike, you got anything?
Just probably tell them a joke from the Hurricanes Carolina days when we did play them in that 06. Back then the Oilers had like their own chat site. I went on there one time. This guy from Carolina, I asked him, do you guys know what offsides is? And he's like, isn't that when your NASCAR hits the wall and the sides comes off? That was his joke. I made me laugh. I've remembered that for 14 years.
Oh man. Yeah.
Well, they were still learning the game. They were doing it. So
Yeah,
that's when you
they
got to
were
use
pretty.
that.
We're going head to head against them in the Stanley Cup, and if it was Boston or something else, you could get serious hardcore, back and forth. But it was pretty good spirited, and they were good fans. So still wish we won the cup, but
one injury away. We didn't roll, so it doesn't get hurt.
Yeah.
Do you ever play in any alumni games like the Hockey Helps the Homeless or anything like that?
Well, I was going to until all this stuff happened.
Yeah,
so,
obviously.
Yeah, I just got so Strudge has actually got me involved a little bit. So we have alumni skates. Chris Joseph kind of coordinates that. So that's been good. Just seeing guys basically, and it's a nice outlet to go skate at 12:30 during the week, and not have to get home at 11 or 12 and from men's league or whatever. So yeah, I just started that. I haven't played any games. That's why I was kind of chirping the guys because they all have the Oilers stuff, and I grew up an Oilers fan. I was like, so I got my Tampa Bay Lightning gloves with foil on them and stuff, and I got my old Jofa helmet and stuff, and I was like, so what's the guy got to do to get some Oilers stuff around here? Like, yeah, I feel a little out of place. And guys are laughing or whatever. And guys are cheering me, but I'm like, hey, if it's free, I'll take 3. So, yeah, I haven't done any alumni games yet, but they do a good job here too. The guys getting together, and so obviously the history is great. Obviously with the team, so they've done a good job. And unfortunately, with everything that, like I said, have happened within the world and COVID and stuff, but yeah, I'm looking forward to doing some stuff. I still work out, so my clothes fit, and if I ever need it for an alumni game, I can bring my A game, do the best I can, and try to give a couple good passes. So, no toe drags though.
I sit on the. I'm actually in Calgary, and I sit on the committee for Hockey Helps the Homeless in Calgary. I'll reach out to you when they're looking for some players and let you know.
Sure.
I've played just about. I've traveled. Again, Stred's got me beat. I pay to travel and play hockey in all these alumni games across Canada, Montreal and Toronto and Vancouver, and man, I tell you, I need a new job just to pay for my hockey addiction.
It's worth it. It's worth it to hear the stories.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I'm sure I'm sure a lot of the guys that I've played with or against, you've met or played on teams with at some point. It's definitely a lot of fun, and I was telling Mike last week. I played with Ethan Moreau in Montreal, and I won't say the player, but he starts. I was playing on his line, and he starts chirping one of the players on the other team, one of the alumni, and I said, "Hey, you good friends with him?" He said, "No, I literally can't stand that son of a bitch." Right? Like, it's funny. I thought, all right, well, it's good that you can bring it back out here and have some fun. And it's a ton of fun, and hopefully you can get out, and hopefully we all can get out and play some hockey here soon. I know I'm starting up in about a week. Yeah. I just want to say thanks for taking some time with us. We've taken over an hour of your time, and really appreciate it. Like most guys, you got a lot of good stories and a lot of fun aspects of the game that we don't always get to see when we're watching it on TV. You've played well over 300 more games in the NHL than I have, and you won 2 cups, and I remember watching you play, if that means anything. I remember watching you fight, and I think that's great. I think the stories are great, and it's wonderful. Mike, anything else for Chris?
I just kind of asked you because you're following me on Twitter there, and just so quiet and unassuming, and kind of a humble guy, and I knew sort of what you did for a living, but some of the stories you brought them more to life, and was a lot of fun. Thanks for spending an hour and change with us. And you led the conversation. You were a pretty easy interview. Thanks a lot, Chris.
We got
no problem. I'll say once you that big truck gets out of the background. So what I try and do is so hopefully I killed a lot of time for easy. So when you do TV, you have guys that you ask them a question and they'll talk for like 5-10 minutes. So I try and do that so it make it easier because when you do an interview, like how's the season going for you, and the guy will say good. You're like, oh, I don't have my next question yet. So I try and kill the clock. So I'll leave you with one final story. So Bob Hartley, who, he's Bob Hartley. Let me just say that. And he remember said to me in Colorado, he's like, Dish, all I need out of you is 30, 40 seconds, hold the puck in the corner and change. That's all I need. I said, okay, I can do that. Kill the clock. I said, okay, I can do that. So hopefully I kill the clock for you guys and maybe get some good reviews and get some viewership and maybe get some free beer out of it. So my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Hey, thanks so much, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
All right.
We're after you. We've got a ref, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Every Monday
Rip the
night
Ref
we get rip the ref segment, and so we got to put up with Stripes for another half hour to an hour, and yeah, I one of these days, we'll have to have maybe have you back and just talk about ref stories. Because I would, that's not an area I've ever explored and chatted with a player about. But like the one that you told, there's got to be some in your arsenal there. Yeah. There's got to be a few.
Oh my God! Even refs, ask refs. Like if they're honest, you could ask them about guys trying to get kicked out. Just even some of the stuff that happens. Refs are good guys. Most majority, it's like most guys are good guys. And there's the odd guy who's a dick, but most of them are good guys. Like I said, like the one like Hazard Prats was like, you can call me, you can tell me to go F myself, you can whatever. I get it, it's emotional, but there's two things you can't call me. But when a guy's trying to get kicked out, he's like, I'm not kicking you out. So I still you're answering the bell. So anyways, I gotta run, boys. So thanks very much.
All right. It. Thanks so much, Chris. Yeah, have a great night.
Thanks, Chris.
Bye.
Oilerslive Podcast. Oilerslive Podcast. Oilerslive Podcast. Oilerslive Podcast.
And now, Rip the Ref with Brett Luchansky.
I think it's because there's so much light coming in.
We've got the mics are hot, guys, and thankfully I wasn't piping that stuff in. But we've done I've already danced to the Rip the Ref intro. And Brett, did you get a chance to listen in to the Dish Dingman, Chris Dish Dingman?
I did
awesome.
Hear some of that.
Yeah, hell of a guy.
I don't know, half an hour or so, maybe.
Yeah. He cut into your time stripes. I mean, you got.
Okay.
I was waiting for you to make a call there.
Well, I should have. But I was gonna say he was telling a story, and did I hear him say that refs know what's going on and they sound like good guys?
No, he
said
didn't.
That.
He did not. He said, "I'm pretty sure you heard wrong."
I'm gonna have to go back and find that.
Yeah. Now, damn it! Of all the controversial things he could have said, all the controversial
things. Make a folder on my phone to keep all these clips in that I'm compiling.
Oh man, yeah, hell of a guy, Chris. That was fun. Some good
Yeah.
stories. Those guys, right? Like the guys that aren't top 1-2 lines. You get a lot out of them, right? I mean, he's friends with Iginla, but I had a friend that worked for the Herald and wrote about Iginla almost daily, and said, Iginla was a product. Like you only got the product when you talked to him. I'm sure on the golf course, the guy that Chris Dingman knew was probably somebody different than the one we all knew as Iginla. But you get a guy like a Chris Dingman, and he gives you the goods, right? Like he gives you the straight goods. Pretty honest guy. That was a lot of fun. Thanks for setting that up, Mike.
Yeah, no,
he was pretty easy. Like he followed me on Twitter a little while ago, and just read kind of what he put out, and just real quiet, humble, unassuming kind of guy, but you could tell there was a lot there, so it was good.
Yeah, it was awesome. That was a lot of fun. What do you got for us today, Stripes? I mean, you've got quite the clip collection of edited clips that say something along the lines of whatever. I'm not going to say it, but
I was right. Wish more refs were like you.
Yeah.
You're one of the better refs in the city, I think.
Oh, yeah, I don't. Did I say that?
I think so. Yeah. Don't make me pull it out again. Well, next Monday, you guys could give me a call at 9:30, but I can be live from the rink.
Oh, wow.
I'll have to cut it short because I got a game to timekeep at 9:45 next Monday.
That's some big time beer league hockey coming on. And that's 9:45. That's a prime time spot.
Time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then on the next Wednesday I have 10:30, so back to normal again. But no, they have lots of earlier times in the summer. Like I looked at their schedule on the website. There's lots of 6:30 games. Like there's triples in a row, like 6:30, 8, and 9:30 or whatever. But I told them like later. It sucks for getting up in the morning, but later works for me. I have a young family and stuff, so it's a lot easier with kids to leave the house late.
Mike's opening up the window again there, so prepare to hear the the monster trucks.
Mike, I don't know if you heard me when you were probably dancing to this song, but I was just laughing at Mike because I don't know about on your screen. On mine, he's like a faceless.
No, that's what he is here too. Yeah,
he's faceless, pixelated Oilers jersey guy. I said it looks like he's being interviewed on one of those shows where they don't give out your identity. All he just needs is a voice modulator.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it, but it's actually beautiful.
Well, no, I could. Just,
well, now we can't even hear you.
I could tell you were at your house. I knew you were.
That's probably better though, right?
So, but yeah, next week. Well, they're starting this week. I just don't have any games in the first couple days assigned to me. Like they sent out the schedule today to the refs and timekeepers. So yeah, we're supposed to have kind of Zoom meetings this week to answer questions or go over some stuff, but they're going ahead on Thursday.
Sounds exciting. I mean, this is.
I don't know about you, Michael. When are your stuff starting up?
I literally just got the contract text about 10 minutes ago. This year's contract only costs me $325. It's one way. Yeah, it's a one-way deal, too.
One-way deal.
One way.
Sent down?
Yeah. We start. I think we start next week. Yeah. I'm pretty sure we start next week, so that'll be good. And then we'll see. I don't know. I know we've got a shinny game that I play on Sunday night, so that starts next week as well. So we're gonna be, Mike. We're gonna podcast is going to be all over the place. Live stream. It might be live stream Tuesday night. It might be Mega Thread Tuesday, which doesn't have the same ring to it. It all depends on when. Yeah.
Well, hey, if you're on Monday, you phone me up. I'll go live from the rink for
Live-
15 minutes till it
Live
starts.
from the rink. Live from Donnan.
I could just leave it on. I could just leave it on. I'll put my phone up against the glass. So you can see some of the game. See if you guys can ref.
Man.
You guys could ref
Yeah.
it.
It's,
Tell me what they're doing wrong out there.
it's in slow motion. No, it's not. That's what.
Like, oh, did it freeze?
Yeah.
It's
No.
just div
Let's
15.
see. I think I told you guys I play at Winsport, is one of the leagues I play in here, which is where they all do all the training for the Olympic athletes and that, and they've got this lounge on top of the main rink, which is an Olympic size rink. They've got this lounge that overlooks the ice, and it's quite a ways up, but you go up there, after your game, and you grab a table with the guys, and typically they play the same div in a row. They'll 3 or 4 games of the same div, and we'll go up there after, and I'm looking down at my div, and I'm like, are we really that slow? Like, I can't,
Yeah.
I swear that team seemed fast, right? Yeah. Oh, it is.
I hated.
It's not nice.
I didn't have to ref that many games on Olympic ice because there's only one sheet in Edmonton that I can think of at Clairview, and I've done a few games there, and I did not like it.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's just weird. Like, it's just that many more strides from the boards to the net, or from
So it's different for
somewhere to somewhere. Like,
different for reffing too, is it?
yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Because you're always in the same spots. You're at the boards. You go off the boards to let the guys go behind. You're over here. You're doing that. You're getting to the net. So yeah, it is definitely different. The width of the rink really makes a difference.
Yeah, it's weird how the angles change your game. Like it is a completely different game, and I'll go play. I used to play a Monday night shinny on Olympic size ice, and then play Tuesday on regular. And it would take me a period of hockey to get back used to the new angles. Like, and we talk about that. I mean, that's one game, but some of these guys, we talk about Koskinen a lot. He comes, they're playing that Olympic size, right? And they're playing it for years, and then they come to North America. There's going to be an adjustment period that lasts longer than a period of hockey, right? Like, it's going to be a sizable adjustment period, and I think that there Bob says without skipping a beat, he says it's different for goalies too. So there you go. See, Bob, I'm looking out for you.
How many in Europe? But I heard they started building, and they're like using NHL or like that size ice.
I think in
a lot over there now,
I want to
too.
say in Finland and Sweden they play mostly NHL size ice. I know in Finland they do. In the KHL mostly still Olympic size, and some of the European leagues are still Olympic size. But those leagues that are really looking to be, almost feeder leagues for the NHL, right? I think they've switched, and I think they've played on NHL size ice in Finland for quite a while, if I'm not mistaken. Bob will probably tell me. Mike, now it looks like you got a clown nose on, man. That is some crazy. I feel like we're in Halloween time or something, and you're wearing like a skin mask.
Can I screenshot this for later?
Yeah, you should screenshot it for later.
Okay, I got it.
Oh man, it's that maybe Dingman's right. Maybe the podcast budget will go skyrocket, and we'll be able to buy Mike a camera or some internet.
It's that hotel Wi-Fi.
It's the hotel
It's no
Wi-Fi.
That's part of the problem here. Yeah. Yeah.
I've hosted some live casts from the hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, she's a little sketchy at times here.
Of course, you are in the middle of the mountains in Grand
Yep.
Cache.
Oh,
Yeah.
Grand Cache.
I think that's where you are. Yeah.
Not too far.
Yeah. Monster truck capital of Canada by the sounds of it out there. What the hell is going? Like, honestly, how many loud trucks are like they got blue bottles on there or what's going on? Like they are those are some
or
loud
just the
mufflers.
acoustics are better being up this high.
Oh jeez. So no Hub City yet. Are they playing hockey, you guys think? I mean, they seem to be taking a long time on this Hub City thing. Although we had a couple of new players hit the ice, right? Ethan Bear and who's the other one? There are a couple of players hit the ice today for Edmonton. Damn it. Come on, guys, help me out. I don't want to be the only one. About Russell. Russell is back on the ice today. So we've got guys coming back to play some hockey. You guys think we're going to play?
I think they're going to push forward and play.
Yeah.
I think they want their money.
Well, the
Not the
only way
players,
we've got a
like
shot
the
at
league
Lafreniere is if they play. Because if they don't play, then
Yeah,
we're
then
not
what are they gonna
eligible, right?
Yeah. Oh, that was a whole other thing, the draft lottery. Yeah, I'm sure you guys talked about it a little bit.
No,
but-
we haven't talked about it yet.
Oh
we
my
didn't.
god.
Oh.
I work with one guy who's like kind of with the Sens, and I was talking to him before it happened. I was like, "So what's gonna happen?" He's like, "Oh, they're not gonna get any. Like, they're gonna fall. That's what always happens." And I didn't watch it, but I looked it up after, and I saw that they didn't even get. They got 3 and 5, and Detroit dropped to 4. I was just like, "Oh my god, what a league!"
Well, in
TBD
Arizona,
TBD
Taylor
in the
Hall.
one spot.
Taylor Hall has another shot at it.
Yeah, like
I mean,
TBD in the number 1 overall spot. Just like, holy fuck. Unreal.
I mean, you can't write that. You can't write that. Like that's made for movies right there. That's some serious stuff.
They could do a draft day style movie, but for NHL, for draft lottery, and follow one team or one GM.
Follow
You ever seen
Taylor
that
Hall
movie,
around.
Michael?
Yeah. What's it's called
know that
Draft
one?
Day, right? Isn't it?
Draft day.
Yeah.
I've
seen it.
It's football, but
It's all right. We're not on the sports. Have you watched
We didn't even-
Slapshot yet? By the way, how's that coming along? Still right there beside you. Is there? He's watched the DVD in front of him.
it's still down in the basement. Hasn't even moved.
Oh man, that's a romance, by the way. Like that's the kind of movie you watch with your wife.
Yeah, I bet.
It's total romance. That's how Mike met his girlfriend. Slapshot, watching Slapshot.
Something like that.
Something like that. Something like that. Yeah. Well, you got to watch that. Watch that, and then Youngbloods, right? We'll get you.
Yeah, that's right.
Then your John Wayne. No, turns out he had a racist rant. So I'm not sure if we should be watching that John Wayne. So there's no John Wayne.
Well, probably wasn't recently.
No, I was a couple of years back, but I've never even heard it. Bob does say Finland has standardized their rinks closer to NHL size. There you go. See, there's the odd moment, Bob, where I know what I'm talking about. It's not very often it happens, but once in a while, I know what I'm talking about. Anybody else here think of the irony that a pugilist from the NHL is now selling gloves? Chris he sells gloves, and he says, "I'm dropping gloves off." Like I would be
He sells gloves. What kind of gloves? What do you mean?
like actual workplace gloves.
Oh, like gloves.
Yeah.
Not hockey gloves.
Not
like
hockey gloves. And but he, like the dad in me would be saying, "I'm dropping the gloves everywhere I go." Like I would be doing a commercial for them and saying, "I'm Chris Dingman, and I'm dropping the gloves," right? But that's more like '80s car commercial type of stuff, though, right? They don't really do those cheesy commercials anymore. Now they got
you stop doing TikToks and make a commercial. Let's see it.
stop. I've got a TikTok career in my future. I'll have you know.
I've seen a couple.
Yeah. I am pretty damn. That is one of these things will pay. One of these.
Just keep throwing out.
Just keep
the
throwing.
nets everywhere.
I'd say shit, but yeah, I know. Keep throwing shit. Keep throwing shit out there, and something's bound to stick. Yeah. We, you know, what's great is you're going to be out there. You're going to have some new, fresh stories for us, beer league stories from the timekeeper's viewpoint.
Yeah, well, I might actually be able to get some videos or something because I can actually be in the timekeeper's box.
We gotta get. We're gonna have to get the CCRHL back on side here, and get some video and a number of different things going, and have a weekly report from the CCRHL stuff. Like, I can't believe that happened, sort of shit, right?
We'll see how boring it is for the first couple games back. I
Oh,
got a feeling everyone will be a little
the first game will be fine.
catching up.
You might see a couple guys throwing up on the bench. It's the I love coming back to winter hockey. You can tell the guys that either A, didn't work out or didn't play summer hockey, and they get out there and they're, you know, first period they're throwing up on the bench. Second game, you know, half of them don't show up because they're too sore to play.
I liked when Chris said, what did he say? He's like, or he was talking about them working out after game practice, like the next day. And he was like saying like, oh man, I played 27 minutes last night. That's like 3 or 4 games in the NHL.
Yeah, for him.
27 minutes. Fuck. That was funny.
I could when I was researching him. I mean, that's unbelievable, right? Like 2 Stanley Cups. I mean, guy, like you talk about Iginla, who's gone, you know, this stellar career and has never picked up a cup. And then we had the discussion about, do cups matter when it comes to Hall of Fame, right? Or, you know, anything like that. And it's clear, right? I mean, if they did, you know, like Dingman's in the Hall and Iginla's not, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously cups matter a little bit, but it just goes to show you, I mean, there's more to a team than one player, right? Like there's, you know, like I think the other thing when I read about Dingman is there's a lot of guys that thought he was a huge part of them winning cups, right? Like in Tampa and Colorado, that thought he was a big piece of that, right? Like the grit that he brought to the game and the work ethic and so those guys, right, like the Fernando Pisanis, right, that get you, you know, come out of the woodwork, or Cassian in the first round in 2017, right? Like those are the guys that, you know, they're never going to be in the Hall. Sorry, Cassian, but I'm blocked anyway, so he's not watching me. He's not watching. You know, but they're integral parts of teams making it, and you know, just it's kind of, to me, solidifies the fact of just how, and Chris talked about it, how hard it is for an NHL team to win a Stanley Cup, and what makes hockey, in my mind, hockey playoffs one of the greatest playoffs you could ever watch. Right? Like I'm into it from beginning to end, whether Oilers are in it or not, but happier and more into it if the Oilers are in it.
Well, that's kind of what some of those guys were saying about Lowe. Like they had Coffee on 1260, and I think they had Gretzky on Ched. Same thing. They're talking about, like, when you talk to the guys who are on that team and in that dressing room and playing the games with Kevin Lowe, they'll tell you he was like a huge part of them winning all those games and all those playoff games. And yeah, maybe he didn't have like crazy numbers, but he was a huge integral part of what they did.
Yeah, it's. I mean,
I
he was
think,
not.
like,
He was
Kevin Lowe's,
not an offensive
like,
guy, obviously.
They had Lowe on, and I think like he wants to hear that from those guys. He doesn't really care what like the guys on the radio have to say or whatever. Like if all his teammates know and respected him and loved him for what he did, that's like good enough for him. Like
That's enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you get, again, when you talk to, guys like Chris Dingman or George Larocque, and they bring up certain players from the team, right? Like, they got a lot of respect for the guys they played with, right? And that comes out, right? Like, the importance of that team. And there's no denying. I mean, Mike's watched Boys on the Bus probably 100 times, right? But there's no denying they had a good chemistry on that. I'm guessing that's Mike that we're talking to tonight. I can't really tell. I got the voice recognition's piping in, but could be some Grand Cash rando right now. Yeah. Bob's got a good point. Do you think any teammate would ever say a player wasn't important to their championship? Good point.
No, I don't think they would say that straight up, but they wouldn't talk so glowingly about a guy that if they didn't think that. I think you might get the one-word answers in the short interviews, but I don't think you'd get them saying what the guys were saying about Kevin Lowe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they'd come out and say it that way, that bluntly, but I don't think you'd get the reviews.
With Coffee, I mean, he was genuinely happy, right? You could hear him ecstatic just talking about it. He was more happy, I think, for Lowe getting in almost than himself. Like,
hey, I'm wondering, and this is a little bit off topic, but when we started, because we were about 9:45, almost 10 o'clock before we got ripped the ref on tonight, did Mama Luchansky send you a text and tell you to shave? No, she didn't.
No.
She didn't see Dingman and think that her son needs to shave a little bit.
No, I think she would have noticed it wasn't me. I don't tell a story like that.
Yeah,
I heard that. I heard him one. Dusty had him on their two guys and a goalie one a while back. So I think we had him in studio, and so I've heard him on podcasts before. I didn't know he did a radio, like a morning drive radio show in Tampa, but he can tell a story for sure.
We had him in studio. What are you talking about? You're in studio right now. This is studio right here.
When you could have people in studio.
Doesn't get any more studio than this, Brett. It's top of the line. Oh man, yeah, no, it's he was a really good guest. It's a rarity. The people that accept the podcast interviews, the guys that do that, like the Chris Dingmans of this world, they're usually genuinely good guys. There's a couple assholes around, but not him.
They don't. They're not looking for anything. They don't have anything to plug or advertise. Like, they're just, yeah, sure. You want to talk with me in hockey? You're trying to do a podcast thing? Yeah, I'll come on. I'm on. Kind of like, oh, you want to talk to me? Sure. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, and the like we had George on, and he immediately, right, like he's retweeting stuff and liking posts and putting it on his Instagram, and I mean, we don't. Mike, you and I, Luchansky doesn't even retweet a post from us once in a while, so it'd be.
Well, I have a huge following of like 600 and something, so, and I don't know how many of those are even real.
Yeah, all 300 of those porn bots. I've got a hell of a porn bot following. Every now and again, when Twitter does a purge, I lose half my followers.
Yeah.
No, a great guy. It was that was definitely tons of fun. Yeah.
Well, I mean, did you see my one tweet last week? I got like 30,000 views on that thing.
Did you? What was that?
Yeah, it was the one. It was right after Kenny put out his video of the Rocky Mountains for coming to Edmonton, and I had NHL players' families when they arrived to Edmonton after seeing Kenny's video. And the first picture was a beautiful Jasper Lake with mountains.
Yeah.
And then the next picture was someone cleaning their glasses. And the third picture was the giant baseball bat
Yeah.
on 118 Ave in 97.
Oh yeah.
That one was like one of my best ones ever, man.
And
I was proud of that one.
not one mention of the Oilers Live podcast in there. You got this epic.
I should have
Epic.
photoshopped a little Michael Hebert in the corner.
That's right. That's right. Big selling point.
Actually, you might have been taller than the baseball bat. Maybe I should have made you taller than it.
I do remember the. So that went. That's as viral as you've been.
That's big for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's big. That's 30,000 views is big for anybody. Yeah, I once had almost 30 views. I was pretty excited. I hit 20 likes on something the other day. I mean, I'm like a social media maven. So we're in the big time now. Bob says, doesn't retweet, but still gets his own theme music. What the fuck? Yeah, I know. I might have to take it out of the contract here. We'll see. We'll see. I'm cutting this. I'm docking your pay.
No, I'm just scheduling games on Monday nights
and scheduling games. Wow.
They asked for dark days, and I didn't put any dark times.
You didn't put any dark. You hear that, Mike?
I didn't want to limit my chances of getting any. I only got 2 games out of the first 2 weeks, so.
You want to know commitment? Mike Durst is probably staring at his girlfriend right now in the middle of the mountains in Grand Cache. Probably one of the more romantic places you could ever take somebody outside of Grand Prairie. And I mean,
he only goes to places that are grand, or what?
I mean, you could go to Falare. Falare would be Falare would be more romantic than Grand Prairie, but and he shows up. McLennan's more romantic than Grand Prairie.
I got a funny story for Grand Cache. Is back when I surveyed for a company before, and so I had an easy job in Grand Cache, like go lay out a property line. It's supposed to be nice and easy. Leave super early in the morning, drive all the way there. You get up there. My assistant is setting up the GPS base. I'm getting ready. I'm getting my stuff ready. I reach to the back seat where What's that? I reach to the back seat where the data collector usually is, the thing that you need to run all the stuff, and it's not there in the normal spot. And then I'm like searching all through the truck, and like my heart just like fell to my stomach. I friggin' left it in the shop. I phoned the guy. I said, "Is there this thing sitting on my shelf?"
No.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. Grand Cache, it's like 3-hour drive one way. So they sent a guy out with it. And I drove down the mountain, and I was going to go meet him in like Edson, which is like halfway to pick it up. And I'm like flying down the mountain, and I got a fucking speeding ticket, RCMP, going down the mountain at like 1:30.
No.
So then I kept on my way, and I went and got my thing, and I drove all the way back up the mountain, and I laid out what I needed to do, and then drove all the way home. And it was like the longest day ever, and I couldn't even charge a lot of my extra time because like I fucked up. I took the data. I didn't bring my thing, and I got a speeding ticket.
We don't pay speeding tickets here. If you ever get a speeding ticket to be on the program, that's your fault. You can't submit it. Don't submit it in your expenses.
I paid it because I didn't want it. It was in a company vehicle, so I didn't want it to come up at a later date of like, oh, we're trying to register our company trucks, and there's this unpaid ticket on it. So I did pay it, but
we can make out a couple of nostrils there, Mike. Now.
Terrific. Yeah.
What
I don't know why. It's getting dark and it doesn't look like it. So I don't know why you can't see the mountain behind me yet.
No, we can see the mountain. You bet.
Can you?
Yeah.
I think you just see hills, but I think you're being nice to me here.
Oh, no. Those are definitely... I don't see any monster trucks, though. I want to know what was going by before.
You're sort of disappointed in that, aren't you?
I am disappointed. I mean, that was multiple times it sounded like the biggest truck in Alberta drove by. behind you. Bob says the French resort of La Glace. Have you thought
Yes,
about?
that's close to home too. Very, very, very luxurious.
Very luxurious. This is
Yeah,
like
little.
we've moved into the Alberta hour now. That
Yes,
the Alberta
the
hour.
booming tropics of La Glace.
La Glace. What's the
Well,
hockey team there?
Yes, and they have water at their rink that is a nice shade of yellowy orange.
Oh
It's
yeah,
delicious.
nice. It's called Gatorade.
Oh,
Gatorade, right?
yeah.
Give the kids some Gatorade. Uh, you ever ref out in La Glace, Brett?
No,
Have you ever? Did you ever
no,
do the circuit like in the small towns?
no. I never. I did junior B, but it was in the city only.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't on the travel list, like out to Killam and
Well, you'd
wherever
probably
else they
forget
had
your
games,
whistle by the
Camrose
sound of
and-
it.
What's that?
Said you'd probably forget your whistle by the sound of it. They knew better. They didn't trust you. Yeah.
I don't know.
Killam,
I didn't really want
Kill-
to either.
Killam's close to my old stomping grounds, Brett. That's my minor hockey land.
Wow. That's why I mentioned it, because it's the one I can remember guys telling me the most stories about.
So I got to
Killam.
ask, we're talking to Dingman there, and he says, he talked to that Hassan Fratz. I remember that guy's name. And he said, there were refs that wouldn't throw a guy out, just to teach him a lesson. Did you ever do that in your junior B days? You ever keep somebody in the game just for the purpose of?
Well, not in junior B. In junior B, I only ever did lines,
Okay.
but in other leagues, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, fuck you. You can stay. You can stay with us.
You could stay with us. You're playing
Give
the
him
whole
a
game.
Look at the clock. Oh, there's only like 13 minutes left. You can have a 10.
Yeah. Right on.
You can still do that one in
Yeah.
rec league too.
Some refs are assholes.
Well, but
Are
in
you
rec
not
league,
going to
you guys-
clip
you-
that one? You're not going to edit that out. Mark the time down. I want that in your clip package.
Yeah, you can't keep cherry picking clips here.
Yeah, you got to put them
No,
all
that's
on
the
there.
whole point. Why do you think they're only 2 seconds long?
I know. Even when I try to qualify them, he still finds the 2 seconds.
No context. Yeah.
Yeah. Once he
In
learns
rec
how
league,
to.
though, if there's 12 minutes left and you give the guy a 10, he just leaves anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't really matter. Not me, man. I want to play that 2 minutes because once I get off the bench, I'm not changing. I'm playing the final 2, and I'm not getting off the ice. Screw you guys! I paid to be here.
Oh, that's a good one. I heard that one before.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you've heard that on the. You've heard the guys. I don't say that to the refs. I say that to my own teammates. No, I've never said that. I am the kind of teammate that when you win the rec league championship, they say Michael was an important part of that. He was a big part when they're
Stats
doing.
be damned.
Yeah, when they are doing the beer league Hall of Fame. I'm Bull Durham. I'm in. I am in. I'm sure I've got some rec league records in there somewhere.
I gotta talk to Jason. I think they did it years ago because I think they had a Rexall Ice slot.
Yeah.
And they did like an all-star game, or maybe they did no, it was a draft. They had like Dan Myers, who was the founder.
Yeah.
And then the other guy, Alec, who was like his director guy, guy who set the schedule and did all this stuff. I think they asked guys who wanted to be in, and then they got a certain number of players, and then they each drafted a team of rec league guys that they kind of know, probably. And then they had a game. They played against each other. Like, they were like the coaches, right? But I think that would be fun if they did that. Or if they just did like some kind of like all-star game. Actually, I was talking to Dan a year ago or two about maybe trying to do an outdoor game if people would want to do that. if the weather wasn't like minus 30.
We played when I was playing senior lacrosse. We played we didn't play field. We played field lacrosse too, but we played a couple of games at the outdoor rink, and having an actual like box lacrosse game at an outdoor rink sucks. Just like I'm sure having like a rec league game at an outdoor rink. Every time the puck goes over, you gotta make sure you got enough pucks.
Yeah. Like it just depends on the weather, man. Like if you got good weather where it's only like minus 10 or warmer and it's not windy, like it could be fun, especially maybe even during the day when it's a little bit not as dark and cold. But if you try to schedule it and it turns out to be friggin' minus 20, then it's not fun.
Yeah. You getting back on the ice there, Mike?
As soon as there's some ice to get back on, yeah. I think at home there's a couple rinks that put their ice back in.
Well, get out there. It's part of the podcast contract. You got to be.
Well, Michael, if you phone me, I'm timekeeping at Collingwood, so I have to actually go across the ice in my shoes. So maybe you'll see me. Maybe I'll take a spill.
Well, damn it. you know that'll make it into the clips.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm gonna have to start going back and re-listening to the Rip the Ref segment and get some real clips.
You gotta find some clips to get them back.
That's
well,
right.
you know, it's like once I'm done with you, I'm gonna go up and I'm gonna go to find where Dingman talked about the refs, and I'm gonna clip that clip. That's what I do.
Yeah.
He said it twice. He said it talking about Avery, and then he said it.
No, he didn't say it twice. There's no way he said it twice.
He's talking about the Avery thing where the linesman let Avery get beat up. Which, side note, does happen.
Yeah.
Certain players are known to be troublemakers and get themselves into things and always looking for linesmen or refs to come save them. And sometimes ref just can't get there in time. It's a shame, but it happens.
So Bob says...
And he said it again later near the end.
Yeah, I didn't hear either of them. I blanked them out. So Bob says he goes, never refed a junior B, ? Am I a bigger shot of a ref than Brett? I've called 9 junior B games, and my response to Bob is not bigger than Brett thinks he is.
Oh, Bob, where do you probably ref some rural home games? He's the only guy out there that could even skate with those guys.
That's right.
It's a lot harder to get on the list in the big city.
Goalies, man.
The big city junior B list is a lot harder to crack.
The big city junior B list. That's where it's at. Getting to call some lines. Well, guys, it's 10:30. I know we only had a half hour with Mr. Luchansky. We didn't get to talk any random 1260 drafts.
You're supposed to give me your top cartoon.
Oh, I didn't agree to that.
And we were going to say that the Simpsons are a presumptive number 1, so you can't pick that.
Oh, Simpsons are presumptive number 1. All right, top cartoon. Mr. Dursa.
Well, if Homer, we're saying Homer Simpson's number 1, right?
Yeah.
You're wanting characters, right? Not actual cartoons?
No, I want shows.
You want shows? Okay,
yeah.
All right. I'm going to go Flintstones at number 2.
I don't even know if Brett's ever even watched the Flintstones. I've got the Flintstones at number 2 as well.
Do I pick 5? Is that what we're doing, Brett?
Wow, you don't have to do 5 because we're at the end of the time, but
doesn't matter.
Yeah,
go a little over.
We can go a little bit.
Is that what you
over.
want to go? Is 5?
Yeah,
no, I said 5.
Do 5.
Okay, so I'm taking the Flintstones at number 2.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put Transformers at number 3.
I was sure you were gonna go with Gem and the Holograms, but which one at number 4?
He-Man.
All right.
And now this is tough because I didn't really think about this. I thought you wanted actual characters and not shows. Oh man, what is legendary that I could take at number
I was
5.
sure you'd have Gem and the Holograms or My Little Pony at 5.
Oh yeah, Scooby.
Scooby.
Gotta be Scooby Doo.
Scooby's good. Scooby is good. You got to have, in my mind, you got to have the Flintstones.
Yeah.
I loved Tom and Jerry. That was a favorite of mine.
Yeah.
I think kind of off the board, Archer is pretty damn good.
That's funny, yeah.
Yeah, if you've not watched Archer, you should get on that. And then I've got number 5. Only just I've not really watched a ton of like cartoons into my adult years, and so one of the big ones that I never missed on a Saturday back, Brett, we used to have cartoons just on Saturdays.
I know. Come on.
You're still in
I had the
diapers.
same
Come on.
thing. I didn't have PVRs when I was a kid either.
The Smurfs. The Smurfs was right
Yeah.
up there as a must see. I mean, who didn't have a crush on what's her name? The only female Smurf.
Smurfette. Yeah.
Smurfette, yeah. Smurfette. Yeah, that's my top 5. I mean, yeah, those are some classics, but Archer is kind of off the classic train and into the more recent one because it's
Modern.
yeah, modern and definite. But there's a whole bunch
Hercules.
that I loved. Yeah, which one?
Hercules.
Was damn good too, or Rocket Robin.
The Jetsons.
The Jetsons. Who said the Jetsons?
Me.
Oh, it's your audio's gone crazy again. I swear that sounded like somebody totally different. I'm like, did Bob hack in here?
I thought someone called in.
Like what the hell? And they're not
Looney
talking
Tunes?
porn. We got a
Looney
call-in
Tunes?
user, and it's not Looney Tunes is what Bob says in Family
Yeah.
Guy. What do you
You
got
guys
there,
ever-
Brett?
The Chatsky probably never saw it, but did you ever see Jabberjaw?
I've never seen Jabberjaw.
No. Like
That's the funny one.
I have a list of 5 here, and they're none
Ren
of
and
the ones you
Stimpy
guys said.
too.
Ren and Stimpy was good, yeah.
I have a list of
Okay,
5
I'm
here that none of you guys said because there were different eras of our
Yeah,
cartoon
absolutely.
watching time. For me, back then, it was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's up
There
there.
you go.
Raccoons.
Oh
There you
man, good Canadian content there. That's awesome.
I also have Darkwing Duck written down
Oh man.
and Inspector Gadget.
Oh,
There you
that
go.
was my time, Inspector Gadget.
And
Who
then
didn't
I have one
Inspector
from
Gadget?
when I was a kid and even like a teenager and stuff. I never thought it was funny. I never really even watched it. And now if I watch it, I think it's friggin' hilarious. Is King of the Hill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
King of the Hill
Like
is good.
I don't know. I'm older now. I get the jokes more. I guess I don't know. I think it's.
If
funny.
you want one that, like even Looney Tunes as you're older, there's some adult jokes in there. But Rocky and Bullwinkle was a cartoon made for adults that only kids ever watched. Bob even says the raccoons, they had a hockey episode, which I remember something about that. Nobody said Teddy Ruxpin.
Well, I'm gonna put in. I'm gonna put in an honorable mention for my son, who is turning 6 next week.
Yeah.
Curious George.
There you go.
Curious
That's-
George.
Yeah, that's the one he watches all the time. If he's gonna watch a show, that's what it is.
Okay, little shout out to my newest follower right now, the Riverfolk Hockey Club.
Hey, CCRHL.
Yeah, CCRHL, Hall of Famers, Riverfolk Hockey Club.
The Riverfolk actually this year, they put in 4 teams to make their own cohort. They had enough guys that they know,
What a great
and
idea.
they actually did a draft.
Yeah.
They had 4 captains and did a draft and drafted their teams, and then they set them, and that they're going to play against each other for the summer, because you can only play against the other 3 teams in your division or whatever.
Shit. That is
So that was
awesome.
there. That's what they're doing.
That's a great idea. Well done, Riverfolk. And you've got the best timekeeper I'm not going to say anything else. You can clip that one out, timekeeper.
Well.
Oh, man.
But they're going. I just read the email. They're going to be going like paperless. He said you don't even have to do a game sheet. I don't think, because they're going to have some scoring app.
Oh, yeah.
Like some of the timekeepers, the timekeepers who do like are always been around for a while. Even in last year and the year before, they got them tablets.
Yeah.
And they were still doing paper game sheets and uploading the stuff to the tablet and then sending it to the website when the game was over.
Okay.
But it sounds like they got a new website too. CCRHL got a new website. They just like launched it the other day. I don't think they're fully done with it yet, but
A couple of the leagues I play in, you can get like real-time stats.
that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Jason was saying like it's either an app for tablets that these guys have, or maybe even on like my phone, if I'm just doing a few games a week, that you could even live score. I don't know if you'd have to get used to it and get good at using however you have to input the stuff to make it be quick enough. I'd still want a piece of paper to write shit down, because like when you're in the game, you gotta guys come in the box, you gotta write it down. What's the call? You gotta push the buttons to put it up there. Like I don't want to be looking at my phone and trying to figure something out. So I'd probably still write it out and do a game sheet, and then when there's like maybe a lull in the action or intermission, I might enter in some of the info. But I guess we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not used to those touch screens.
Because
yet,
I mean,
eh?
everyone who's playing in the games at the rink, like I mean, who's at home checking the scores live?
I check from the bench. I check from the bench.
You go in during the flood to make sure they got your friggin' secondary assist.
That's
on
right.
One goal.
My second apple, like that shit's important.
You should come when I get back to reffing, Mike. You come play. I give you secondary apples even when you're not on the ice.
There's a couple of refs in the one league I play in that purposefully don't give me points.
Don't. Oh, come on. Why?
Yeah. They like I try
Why
where
not?
I gotta
go the other way.
I gotta take a penalty.
Other way.
I gotta take a penalty just to get on the score sheet. Yeah,
I go the complete other way.
Yeah.
Like 7 from 8, and the guy will be like, and 14. Like, okay, and 14. Like, I don't care. Whatever, man.
One of the jokes that I do is typically if somebody's on the I always wear number 10, but I'll be on the bench, and when a goal is scored, I'll yell, "Nice goal, 10! Nice goal, 10!" I don't know if I've got any extra points from that yet, but everybody, yeah, I'm sure the refs are on to me. Yeah, the other good refs, not. I gotta watch what I say now. I'm gonna be, man. I feel like I'm under like.
On trial.
I'm on trial now. Like everything I say will be used against me.
I actually have a stenographer. It's off camera
stenographer off.
I go back and read the transcripts, and then I can see when it was said, and I'll go edit it out.
Yeah. I know you're writing down the time. Yeah, I know you're writing down the time. All right, guys. 11:15. Way past my bedtime. Not at all.
Oh, you tried to get a 6 a.m. thing.
I did try.
He didn't read it.
And he didn't read it, but he did verify. He verified that it was on there.
I saw that later.
Yeah. I'm glad. I'm glad Nielsen said. Well, by the way, our new follower, Riverfolk, there hockey club. They're good. They said, "Is Mike Dursa sitting in downtown Edmonton?" He says, "Recognize that mountain range by Refinery Row." Damn right, straight from Edmonton, live from Edmonton. Mega Thread Mondays. Yeah, you got it. That's
just take a left by IKEA at South Common, and you're right here.
That's right. Right there, like minutes away. How far at 130? What's the distance at 130? What's the time? All right, guys. We're back Thursday. Nothing special to to report in terms of guests just yet. Working on a couple.
It's just CCRHL opening night, Michael.
CCR. Maybe we should.
Thursday night.
Yeah, we're gonna have to find a. Well, we're gonna have to
Live cam.
Yeah, live cam that one. Yeah, that's a big night. Who's playing that first night?
Oh, I don't know. There's tons of games. There's a bunch of games at 6:30 and 8 like doubles and triples at Millwoods and
doubles and triples.
Where else did I see? I saw Millwoods. I saw Collingwood. I saw Kenilworth. I saw Clairview. No Terwilliger.
Kenilworth.
Yeah, that was a weird one because like all the rest are like the bigger twin arenas, and then all random single older sheet ice.
Bob says what? Sorry.
So I don't know what they came up with that one for.
Bob says what? Nothing special. It's the goalies. Sorry, we got run the goalie on Thursday night. It's my favorite episode. Favorite segment. Rip the Ref used to be up there, but yeah, slowly in the doghouse. Plus, he didn't put Monday nights as a dark day on the old timesheet, so we know where we fit in. Would I rather be timekeeping, or would I rather be on Oilers Live Monday nights? That's right. Wow. I'm talking to Mom Luchansky about this. She is not going to be happy. This is how she catches up. I know. I know this stuff. She knows that you're not up to no good. She watches Monday night. She knows. She knows where her boy is going to be. We're already, 17, almost 20 minutes ago, I said, "What's your last thought, guys?" There's not even any hockey on. How do we make it through 17 minutes of absolute? All right, we're going to be back Thursday with Run the Goalies and potentially a new theme song and a new intro, although I've been promising Dursa a Mega Thread intro for a very long time. And it is close to being done. It's something special. I drew it myself. And so that should be good. Any last words, gentlemen? No. So CCRHL opening night Monday.
Thursday.
That's what I meant. Dursa, any last words? I'm getting old here.
No.
You know that.
I think I'm starting to get the lighting figured out, and the monster truck rally must have ended. But yeah, it was good talking to Dingman, and I won't say it was good talking to Brett, so he can't use anything against me.
That's right. Well, he's gonna find one. I'll maybe even help him edit it, splice it together for you. All right, guys. It's been another fun night. Be back on Thursday with Run the Goalies and potentially other special guests. Everybody have a great week. Stay healthy, stay safe. Michael here from Oilers Live, and have a good night.
Oilers Live.